In this video, I'm going to show you how to edit your videos inside of Premiere Pro. We're going to go from the basics to creating a new project, importing your footage, creating a new sequence, and then adding our videos into the new sequence, syncing the audio, and getting started with the basics of editing the audio and editing the color of your video. And we're going to finish off with how to cut your A-roll and what kind of keyboard shortcuts you can use to speed up your editing and save you so much time. So let's jump onto the laptop and let me show you how to get started editing your videos in Premiere Pro. So the first thing we need to do is open up Premiere Pro. Once Premiere Pro has opened up, we're going to select a new project in the top left-hand side, and we're going to choose which folder to put our project in. When you're creating your project, make sure you save your project file together with your raw footage in a folder where you store everything in one place. And then make sure you name your project correctly. We don't want to save it as an untitled project, otherwise you're going to have 300 untitled projects and you're not going to know which one is which. And click on OK. Once you create your project, Premiere Pro is going to launch. Now, if you've never been inside Premiere Pro, it might look a bit foreign to you, but I'm going to explain to you the outlay and how it all works and how you can use it so that you can create the best possible videos. So when you open it up, it's going to open up in the editing tab, and you have other tabs that you can use that we're going to get to later. So just make sure you're in the editing tab for now. On the top left-hand side, you're going to have source, or the clip that you have selected. We haven't imported anything in our project yet, so we won't see anything here. Then you have your effect controls, then your audio clip mixer, and your metadata. On the top right-hand side, this is the main window you're going to preview your edit in. It's just going to be the program or the sequence preview that you're currently editing. On the bottom left-hand side, you're going to have your project files, your media browser, your libraries, your info, your effects, markers, and your history. Now, there are lots of tabs in the bottom left here, so if you ever need to check all of them, you can click on these two arrows and then you can select the one that you want. And then on the right-hand side, we have our timeline. We're going to have our audio levels on the far right, and the tools are going to be just inside of the timeline. The first thing that I like to do when I get inside of Premiere Pro is I grab this project file and I drag it up to the top and put it with my program or the preview. Now, if you put it in any of these other boxes, it's going to create weird and wonderful shapes in Premiere Pro. So make sure you drag it up in line with the program sequence and drop it in there. I prefer having my project files up at the top because it's easier to organize and easier to see. This is completely up to you, but this is how we do it. And then to import your media, you can double click in this block, or you can head up to File and then scroll down to Import. And then grab the files that you want to edit. So we're going to use one of our videos as an example. It's a tutorial on how to create Reels on Instagram. Now we have two files here. We have our A-roll, which is our camera, our talking to head like this. And we have the B-roll, which is the screen recording of how to create these Reels. So we have two files at the moment, and we have different views. So we're in the list view at the moment. You can use an icon view, which is quite nice because it allows you to see what is there. And we have the free form view. So I like to leave it in the icon view. It's a lot easier to deal with there. And then if you want to select one of your clips to look at, it's going to preview in the source on the top left-hand side. And you can scroll through and you can watch your clip through to see how it looks. Same thing for the screen recording. We can preview it on the left-hand side and see exactly where we are. Next, we want to create a new sequence. Now we can do that by going File, New, Sequence, and then choose the sequence settings that we want. So here is a digital SLR setting, 1080p, and we have 1080p at 24 frames per second, 1080p at 25 frames per second, and 1080p at 30 frames per second. Now you can create whatever timeline you want. There's 4K here if you want to go up to that, or you can choose your own dimensions. If you want to do vertical video for Reels, you can then change the frame size here and then rename your sequence and create it. A shortcut to create a sequence, if you want to use your A-roll, you're talking to head, all you do is you grab the clip That is the settings you want your sequence to resemble. And head down to the bottom right that looks like this little page turning and drop it on there. And it's going to create a new sequence with you with the name of your file. Now we want to rename our sequence so that it's not the same as our file name. So what we're going to do is go back into our project, and you'll see this is the video clip and this is the sequence, because you can see it has a different logo on the bottom right hand side here. So we're going to right click on there and we're going to go down to rename, and we're going to call it Instagram Reels Tutorial Edit. And once you've renamed your sequence, you'll see the name of the sequence on the bottom here also changes. So next we want to add our screen recording to our sequence. So we're going to grab and drop it. Now we're going to drop it onto video 2 line and audio 2. Now if we have a look at our audio waveforms, you'll see they are not in sync, and we want these two clips to be synced up so we can use the screen recording when we're talking about the screen recording. So in order to sync the audio, all you need to do is select both your clips, right click, and head up to synchronize. Now you can choose clip start, clip end, or you can choose the audio waveforms and which track channel you want to go off. So our main audio is from our camera 1 angle, so we're going to go off track channel 1 and click OK. Now Premiere Pro is going to analyze the two clips, look at the waveforms, and try and align them so that when we're speaking on camera 1, it is the same as when we're speaking on our screen recording, so it's lined up perfectly. And you can see they've done a really good job at lining up these two clips. One thing we like to do is at the beginning of every recording, we just clap our hands, and that acts as a sync clap. So it's a lot easier for Premiere Pro to use those spikes in the waveform to align your clip at the start. So it's a good habit to get into when you are recording your videos if you're recording more than one camera. I'm going to trim that, and now we have a nice start. Now we're going to mute our audio 2 because we don't want two audio tracks and they're both aligned. If you want to preview your A-roll, you can click on this little R and it'll remove your screen recording, and then you can put it back. Now one thing you can notice is the screen recording is not the same dimensions as our sequence, as our A-roll. So we want to resize our screen recording so it fits the screen correctly. And we can do that by going up to our effect controls and just zooming in a little bit so that it fits nicely. And then we can adjust it up or down depending on how we want it to look. I want to be able to see the top there. Now once our audio is synced, we want to get into editing our audio, and you'll see our audio only has one channel here. Now most of your audio recorded will have two channels, but if you do have one channel, it's a quick fix. All you need to do is head up to audio channels, and you'll see here media source channel. Now left is on source left and right is on source right. We want to change our right channel to also read from the left channel. Click OK, and you'll see now we have a left and a right channel. Now we're going to go into a very basic way to make your audio sound cleaner and crisper for your videos. What we're going to do is head into Effects, and we're going to search for a Parametric Equalizer. It's under Audio Effects and Filter and EQ, and you can grab the Parametric Equalizer and drop it onto your Audio 1 channel. Now you'll see that in the Effect Controls, that Parametric Equalizer now comes up. We're going to head into Custom Setup, click Edit, and there are a few steps here, so listen carefully. We need to add a high pass and a low pass, and that cuts off all the low frequencies, which we want to have around 30. So you can grab that HP and drag it along. And then we want to grab the LP, which is the low pass, and pull that down to about 20. Once you have your high pass and your low pass added, we want to boost the lower tones of your voice and tweak the high tones a little bit. So we're going to grab one here and lift it up. I like to lift it up between 7 and 8, depending on how your recording has gone. Then we grab number 2, and I'll do that just below, so around 5 or 6. And number 3, we bring a bit to the left and come up not as much, but around 3 dB. And 4 and 5 are just small tweaks, around 1 or 2. And then I like to play it back to listen to see if we need to make any tweaks to our audio. Now while you're playing it back, I want you to listen, and I also want you to look at the bottom right here at the levels. We want to try and get our levels between -18 and -6 while we are talking. So peaking around -6, and when we are in our lower, less energetic parts, around -18. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make an awesome Instagram reel with just 12 pictures. Okay, so we're about in the right place here. Maybe a small boost. So the gain on the left-hand side is your overall. So we could boost this a little bit, maybe 2 or 3 dB. If you don't want to play with your main channel too much, you can just add 2 or 3 dB onto these here. So let's add a bit more to 1 and 2, and maybe a little bit to 3, and listen again. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make an Instagram reel like this. And that looks pretty good. Now we don't want to do too much in the audio editing. We just want to add a little bit so it sounds a bit more crisp. That's the Parametric Equalizer done. Now we're going to add a denoise effect. So we're going to search for denoise, and it's under audio effects, noise reduction, and restoration. We're going to drag and drop that onto our audio 1 line, and you'll see in the effects panel, denoise comes up. We're going to head in there, edit. Now you can choose to focus on all frequencies, to focus on the lower frequencies, focus on the mid frequencies, focus on the lower and higher frequencies, and to focus on higher frequencies. Now I like to focus on the lower and higher frequencies because that's where I want to remove most of the noise. Now I like to keep this around 50% and then play it through to preview the audio. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make an Instagram reel like this. And all it does is it cleans up that background noise. Sometimes you get a little crackle or a little in the background, and you just want to tweak that down so it's not so prevalent in your audio. The third thing I want you to add to your audio is a hard limiter. And that's under audio effects, amplitude and compression, and select hard limiter, grab it and drop. That just stops your audio from peaking too high. So we're going to head into the effects, click on edit, and we want to set this at -6 dB. So we don't want anything peaking above -6. If it does peak above, then it's going to start limiting the audio so it doesn't hurt people's ears and put them off from watching. Let's listen to our audio now. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make an Instagram reel like this. Okay, and that sounds pretty good, crisp, and clean. That's all I want to do to our audio. You can get way more in depth into your audio, but this is more than enough when you're first starting out to create your videos. Now we want to do some basic edits to the color of our video to make it pop and make it look really good. So we're going to head into the color tab at the top. It's next to the editing tab. We can click on that color, and we're just going to turn off the preview of the screen so we can see our A-roll. Now you can see our outlay has changed slightly from the editing tab. With the color tab, we get this Lumetri color on the right hand side to help us change and edit. So I like to change the left hand side to Lumetri Scopes so we can have a look at the levels and the scopes for the video while we are editing it. Now just a brief overview. On the top here at 100, that is our white whites, and at 0 are our black blacks, and in between are our midtones. So you can see the lights in the background are peaking around the white whites, around 100, and the matte in front of us is very, very close to true black. So if we grab the blacks and drag them, you'll see how dark the matte goes and how much of it goes to true black. Now we don't want too much of it, but we do want to get a few true blacks in there. So we'll go a little bit of the way. So the first thing I want you to do is to get the exposure right for your image. And we want it to be in the middle without blowing out anything on our skin. So we're going to up that a little bit, and we're going to lift the shadows ever so slightly. Okay, that's giving us a better exposure. Now you can pull the highlights down if you don't want too many of those highlights showing up, and then we can tweak the white and the black. So if we go too white, it's going to overexpose our skin, but we can lift the whites a little bit to come up to about there, and we would like to increase the contrast of our image to pull those out. Next we want to look at the temperature of our image. Now if we want to go to the blue, it's going to be too blue and too orange. Now we just want this to look natural. We don't want too much orange and too much blue. So I'm going to show you a trick that makes your videos look super cinematic really quickly, and Premiere Pro does this so well. So you can tweak your temperature here, but if you use this HSL Secondary first, it's going to make your videos stand out from the crowd. So head into the HSL Secondary, and we're going to set the color. So we're going to drag this eyedropper onto our skin, and we're going to select our skin, and you'll see a whole lot of stuff happening here. All you need to do is tick this color gray so you can see what colors you have selected. If it hasn't selected all of your skin, I want you to untick it, go back to this plus eyedropper, select it, and select another color or part of the skin, and it will add a whole lot of more here. And if you go back and look, we've added most of our skin here. If you want to tweak it more, you can play with these sliders, so you can slide it so we get even more selected there, and we can select even more here. Now we want to focus on our skin tones and try and get as little as we can from the background. Now our background is red, so we are going to pick up a lot from the image there. So once you've played with these sliders and you're happy with your selection, we're going to work on the edges a bit, and that's where this denoise and blur come in refining your edges. So we can add a bit of denoise and add a bit of blur, and all that does is it makes your selection a bit softer, so it's not as harsh on your image. Once you're happy with that, we're going to untick the color gray, and then I want to invert the selection. So we had our skin selected, I want to select everything that isn't our skin. So we're going to invert the selection and have a look at what we have selected now. Once you've done that, we're going to add a bit of blue to everything that isn't our skin. So we're going to drag this color wheel down towards the blue area, and don't overdo this, just tweak a little bit there. And then we're going to head up to our basic correction, and we're going to warm the entire image, which will bring back a little bit of blue and add some orange in there, and it's going to tweak our skin tones. So I don't like to do too much here, but a very small adjustment does a lot. So you can see how our skin hasn't been affected by that blue, but the rest of the image has. And that gives you a really nice pop between you separated from the background. Next, we're going to head into the creative. So we're going to add a little bit of vibrance into the image and a little bit of saturation. Don't overdo saturation, it can look really, really bad. So just a little bit, and this is all dependent on your camera and how you have recorded. But we like to add a little bit to pop into the image. And that's about all we're going to do for editing our color. So we can head back into our editing tab. Now we can get into cutting up our A-roll and getting rid of the ums, ahs, pauses, and all of the gaps that we had in our recording. Now there are 3 shortcuts that I want to teach you that are going to speed up your editing of your foundation, the A-roll. That's going to save you so much time. And they are selecting the cutting tool, so that's C on your keyboard, and you'll see now my cursor has changed to C. So now I can come in and I can cut wherever I want in a video. But if I put a cut there, it's not going to cut the A-roll and the B-roll. So what I want to do is undo that, and that's Command Z to undo anything. I want to cut the video 1 line and the video 2 line together. So all you're going to do is select Shift, and you'll see that it lights up all of the lines, the video 1 and video 2. And if I cut there, it's going to cut all of the video lines, and I can then select V to get my arrow back, and I can select all of the clips before that and hit backspace. Now that removes everything that I had selected, and then I can use my up and down arrow keys to scroll to the start and use the shortcut W, which is going to remove that gap and shift all of the clips along to the left. Now this is a lot of steps just to get rid of everything that we didn't want before. So I'm going to go Command Z and undo all of that work that we've done. And I'm going to show you a much quicker, shorter way that's going to save you so much time. So put the playhead exactly where you want it to make that cut. And all we need to do is hit Q. And it's going to remove everything from the playhead that is on the left-hand side. And delete everything and remove the gap, all with one shortcut key. Now you can see how powerful this is going to be. We're then going to select the portion of the clip that we want. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make an Instagram reel like this, with just 12 pictures. Okay, so that's the clip that we want. We're going to select the cutting tool again. We're going to shift and cut, because that's where we want our cut to be. Now we know where we want to start the next clip. We're going to scroll the playhead to there and hit that Q, and it's going to remove all of that and delete it and do everything just for us. By using this shortcut with Q and W and putting your playhead in the right place so that whatever you're removing from the left of the playhead or right of the playhead is done with the shortcut keys, is going to save you hours and hours in your editing. So if you can get used to it and get in the habit of using these keyboard shortcuts, you are really going to benefit from this so much. And I cannot tell you how much time we have saved editing just using these few shortcuts. Now I want you to go through your entire video and make all the cuts that you need. Cut out all the breaks, cut out all the rubbish, all the fluff. And this is really where you can make your video interesting by only leaving the important stuff. Only leave valuable stuff that people are actually going to find interesting, and only keep the golden moments and the golden stuff that is really interesting to watch and is going to keep people engaged. If you have any questions or queries about editing videos in Premiere Pro, let me know in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this video and you learned some cool stuff, let us know by smashing that like button. And if you're new here, consider subscribing, because we create new videos every single week, helping you edit your videos better. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.